Okay, let's get started. Today we're talking about Market Smarter from the point of choice. Thanks for joining me today. Just want to let you know this is kind of our beta test group of you. We want your feedback. I want to get some ideas of what you think of the presentation. And of course, we're still testing out. We've done our practices, but we're still testing out the software. I'm going to turn myself off so I'm not distracted. And of course, this is the first webinar we've done, although I've done plenty of live presentations to groups. We've tested our software, but please let us know if nothing's working or something's off. Jamie is here with me. She'll handle any questions you type into the chat pane during our session. She'll also share some of the questions at the end too, so I can answer them live. Jamie, why don't you say hi?
Hi, and again, I'll be answering any of your questions during the presentation, so if anything comes up that you have questions about, and then anything that I think would benefit the entire group, I'll have Jennifer tackle at the end of her talk.
Sounds good. There's also going to be a brief survey at the end to get your feedback. If you have any additional ideas to share or questions or areas you'd like to clarify, of course, feel free to email me too. If you're using social media, our hashtag is point of choice. And don't worry if you don't know what a hashtag is and how to use it, but if you do, share away. We'd love to get more feedback, more people interested in our topic. So some things to think about. As we move through these ideas, you'll notice there's a real strong focus on your target audiences. These are the people, the individuals, who will influence or guide a purchase decision or be the final decision maker. These are the people that you want to reach at each point of choice. We're talking today about remarkable marketing that stands out, that generates results. It's remarkable because it focuses on people and how they choose. So if you think about it, no matter what you're offering or the category of business you're in, you'll be a better marketer when you think from your audience's point of view instead of your own. As a business owner, manager, or marketer, you're very familiar with what you have to offer, what you do, and how you do it. Often, owners and managers focus their marketing on what they do and how they do it because that's what they're familiar with. And yet, what your audiences want may not be those details. They want to know the result, the outcome of what you offer. Think about it this way. They're not buying a drill. They're buying the hole it makes. So framing everything from your audience's point of view can be a challenge if you're not the target audience. You might be younger or older or in a different industry, yet it's essential that you reach people from their frame of reference based on what they're looking for, not just what you offer. Sometimes that's a tough one, but it will make a big difference. So what is this point of choice idea? Well, think of it this way. We've all done it. Walked into the grocery store with a short list and walked out with a whole lot more than what was on the list. You made decisions at the point of choice, on impulse. They were unplanned. Maybe the package said new, or an item was on sale, or it was there at the display when you checked out, or maybe you were just really hungry and those cookies looked darn good. Likely it wasn't an ad made you buy. It was that quick decision, that impulse to try a new flavor or product. Or you remembered you needed something. That had you put something in your cart that wasn't on your list. You took action. You made a decision that led to a final sale. That's a point of choice. It's that action and decision that's the essence of what we're talking about today. So think about it as action. The point of choice is based on action, a decision to choose one way or the other. We all have a lot of choices in our lives, and this is one of the reasons we want to look at it from yes, no, on, off, what's the next step. So those are the keys, a quick decision that causes an action that leads to a yes, I want you. That's a point of choice. For example, someone lands on your website and they choose to click through, or they choose to go to the next search result instead because they didn't see what they were looking for. Or someone's driving down the road looking for a place for lunch, they see a sign, an inviting little shop with tables outside, and they choose to stop there. Or they may recognize a sign. There's Burger King. I know what Burger King offers, so let's stop there. That's created through multiple levels of recognition. Or you may have a long sales process with a series of points where someone has to make a decision and choose to move forward. That leads to the ultimate decision to buy. Now think about how someone buys from you. Outline from your audience's point of view what those steps might be. That will help you kind of understand and see where those possible points of choice are. When you're in marketing, there are plenty of touch points that are promoted to be part of your marketing program. If you think about it, there's lots of people trying to sell you ads. There's lots of ways to get your message out. Some people tout PR. Other people say you've got to have the great website, which actually you do. Or social media is the next great thing. So lots of things can work for you to build recognition, but they can also kind of draw your attention away. They can be expensive, and you don't really know if they're having an impact. If you have a narrower focus and you need to do something that is more focused on where your audiences are and to get bigger results, you'll focus your marketing where someone can take action. Rather than just suggestion or recognition, think about the action they can take, an action that will move them closer to a final buying decision. When you reach your target audiences at that moment, in that place where they're choosing, you're more effective. If you provide an offer, an easy call to action, or an at-a-glance benefit when that person is making a decision, they're more likely to move forward instead of look at another option or not choose at all. When you think about your process and how people find you, think about where those points are that they are able to find you, and then how they interact when they move forward. So why is the point of choice so important today? Well, we have a ton of choices around us. We live in an overwhelmed, time-starved culture. People are pressed for time and often don't want to consider new options. There are too many messages, too many ads, too many influences, too many distractions, too many choices that clutter up our minds. It's tough to break through all of that and to focus on what you want to have happen. In fact, studies have shown that too many choices means people won't choose if they don't have to. For example, there were some studies done on how people buy simple food products. If you put out a set of jams and jellies to taste, for example, and there's 3 to 5 different flavors put out, that sampling will increase sales. But when you have more than 7 options offered, people will just walk by and not choose. It's too confusing. They don't want to have to figure it out. They're going to go another direction. So think about that when you present your information. Too many choices makes it hard to choose. That's why the point of choice is so important to your marketing, because it's where people will make that decision one way or the other. Once you've got those points of choice identified, you'll be able to leverage your message and your ideas right there to break through clutter, gain recognition, and then state why, from your audience's point of view, they should choose you. Excuse me. So all of this is founded on your audiences. Who are they? How do they find you? How do you engage them? How do you provide the answers or outcomes your audiences are looking for? It's all founded on those audiences, who they are and where they're coming from, not necessarily just what you have to offer. So that's where to start. Get a clear picture of the people who refer, who influence, who guide, or who make the final decision to choose what you have to offer. Your audiences are always the foundation that will guide you to the points of choice where you can make the biggest differences. The chart kind of shows audiences at the bottom. The next step is, why should those audiences choose you? Then the next step up is your offer. What is it that they're going to do next? And the final piece is the action. What do you want them to do to respond? What's the next step in the process? Excuse me. It's likely you have multiple target audiences. Most organizations do. There's a person who could influence and refer, or there's a person who actually makes the purchase. McDonald's did a great job with their Happy Meals by influencing the parents, or sorry, influencing the kids with those adorable little toys that kids wanted, but who's making the final purchase? Well, the parent is. And of course, how could you turn down your child when they say, I want my Happy Meal today? But in a business-to-business setting, the buying process usually involves more people. There may be a specifier. There could be a purchasing manager. There could be someone else that's going to be actually using the product that's a different person altogether. Or there could be a board of directors. or an engineer or an IT manager. When there's more people, there's more layers of decisions to address, because each of those groups, each of those people in the process has a different perspective and a different role in the process. They have a different reason for choosing to follow the path towards choosing you or choosing to go a different direction. Then, of course, it's fairly simple when it's just you looking for a really great cookie. You know that package needs to look really yummy. And if it tells a story about real ingredients and being handmade, you're certainly more likely to buy that tub of fabulous shortbread cookies. So there's a lot of layers to look at in how you understand your audiences, who they are, and how they buy. In fact, there was an interesting story. I worked with a company a while back who sold software for traffic management. And it was one of those multiple pieces of information where there's traffic engineers who would actually use the product, but there's still a purchasing manager, because they primarily sold to government organizations, who had to make the final decision. So the company did a brilliant process. They actually had this in place when we started working with them. And they set it up so that the specifiers received information that was already on the website that outlined what this particular company's product and software did and how it worked, so that the engineers who had tested it out and loved it could take that information and include it in the request for proposal that was sent out, which immediately eliminated most of the competition who did not have all the capabilities that was offered by this particular company. So they looked at, how does the decision get made? The engineers have to fall in love with it so that they can specify it, but then they need the information that is actually going to outline this particular product to include in their proposal. Worked great for them. And then here's another example. This was a fun product to work with. If anybody gets poison oak and ivy and gets a rash pretty badly, you should know about Technu. The packaging is a little different now, but the product still works amazingly well. But the interesting thing about this company is they made these products to treat poison oak and ivy, rash, and itch. But what we discovered with them about their sales process, that there were two critical points of choice. The person who self-medicates by walking down the aisle in a pharmacy looking for a product that says it'll work for an itchy rash. So here we are, itchy skin, walking down the aisle. What package stands out? How can you recognize that it might be for poison oak? Or the itching person goes directly to the pharmacist and asks him what he recommends. So of course the package is crucial to the person who's self-medicating. It needs to validate and tell the story about what this product is and why it works. So you can see on the packaging we talked about outdoor skin cleanser, removes plant oil, quick cooling relief, and so on. So that's great information. But let's dig a little deeper. We think about those two critical points of choice. A self-medicating person who's choosing from the aisle, from the product and the package, or they're going to the pharmacist. Well, when it comes down to it, unless someone's not terribly bright, they're not likely to get poison oak over and over again and thus need another bottle of Technu. So they're maybe buying one bottle in a season. That's great. That's a sale. And yet the pharmacist is going to drive a whole lot more purchases over the season. Because as people walk in the door and say, what is this itch? Is this poison oak? What do I do about it? That pharmacist can recommend this particular product. So that's where we concentrated the marketing dollars. It was worth it to invest in putting sample products, little packets, into the hands of the pharmacists, along with good reference information that explained the product, how it worked, what's poison oak, why does it give you the itch, and so on. The pharmacist views himself as a professional and a recommender and wants to have good information that isn't just a personal opinion, so they want to have experienced the product themselves before they recommend it to someone else. So this is information a pharmacist wanted and could pass along to his itching patient. We supported it with a special packet that helped distribute the information throughout the various drugstores, and it made a huge difference in the bottom line sales for the company. So those are two pieces of who's the audience and what are they looking for and how do we reach them. So let's look a little deeper on how do you figure out your audience is and where do you go when you're trying to decide who they are, how they communicate, and where they might be making a choice. This is a great chart that shows the various generations that will affect their communication channels and how they make a choice. So baby boomers, I'm a boomer, Our icon, I don't know if I'd agree with Bill Gates, but certainly we understood and remember Vietnam War, Watergate, and I remember when the breakthrough technology was a fax machine. That was a while ago. Our contact method has been call me. Frankly, I think now it's moved to email me, and all of these have moved a little bit. But if you look down the length of the chart here, you'll see that there's different attitudes towards what are we comfortable with, personal computer or smartphone, how do we want to work-life balance or more flexible, email me or hit me up on Facebook, and right now I think actually Facebook has probably been replaced by texting, which is actually being used in multiple generations. But when you're profiling your target audience, it's important to understand their frame of reference and their preferred communication style. This chart really summarizes those key differences in the various generations. And by the way, millennials, who are today's 20-somethings, are a larger demographic group than boomers and are having a significant influence on culture, technology, media, and communications. By the end of this year, they'll be more than 30% of the workforce. So you need to pay attention to them, even if you don't think they are your audience right now. They're somebody you need to pay attention to because they're coming along pretty darn quickly. So now think about the generation your target audience is part of. You'll note on the chart the different communication channels. And as I mentioned before, I think texting has probably replaced Facebook for many millennials, and I certainly know it's replaced it for some of my friends, and we're the boomers, although I do love email. So once you've kind of looked at who are these audiences and how do they communicate, then consider if someone's looking for what you have to offer, where are they looking? Where are they likely to look for information about your category, your products, or your services? You won't have to persuade them to look at what you offer if they're already in the market, if they're already looking. So that decision point will be easier because really at that point they're already seeking out what you have to offer and they're evaluating what their options and their choices are. Where are they looking? Where will they find you? And these days, think about being online because, of course, more than 80% of searches for goods and services begin online. There's a lot of information out there, no matter what you're looking for, and people are using it. They're digging around and trying to educate themselves before they actually raise their hand and say, I want to talk to somebody about buying your product or service. In fact, Google, gotta love Google, has done plenty of research on consumer paths to decisions. And they found in 2010, on average, consumers use 5.3 different sources of information before they actually said, yes, I want to talk and possibly buy. By 2011, that was already up to 10.4, and by 2012, that was already up to more than 16. So think about it. When you're evaluating a purchase, particularly a larger purchase, and that could be a car, it could be a refrigerator, could be even, where do I go to find a great dog park for my dog, you're going to look at multiple options. There may be review sites like Yelp. There could be social media where you're going to post a question, and certainly you're going to look through reviews and recommendations that may be online. We've just been doing that with looking for some new software for the company, and it's amazing how much is out there, including compilation sites that basically will represent multiple products in a category and then put them on a chart and rank them side by side. Those are the resources people are looking for. How do I choose? How do I make a decision? When you look at the rise in these numbers, it really indicates the number of sources that are used to inform a decision and how people are not making snap decisions if it's a larger purchase. Just Googling it, clicking on the links, you can get sucked into that pretty quickly, as you know. But it also means that people really don't want to be sold anymore. They don't want to go to a website and just see, oh, click here, buy now. They want to learn. They want to discover before talking to someone, whether they're buying a refrigerator for home or whether they're hiring a network tech for business. They want to have confidence in their decision for a larger purchase, not an impulse buy. So that's still a point of choice. That's a point of how do I choose, how do I move forward, how do I evaluate. Think about what information you can provide to your target audiences that will help them choose you. Then, of course, the next step, if they find you, will you stand out? Will they see at a glance what they're looking for? The numbers from Google really address the importance of a website. a website that answers frequently asked questions, that helps someone understand what makes you unique and different from the others, a website that helps them choose. The website that helps them choose offers information, answers, ideas, useful content that they can download. It's a process to provide information that will validate what you offer, but don't expect the visitor to pick up the phone or click on Buy Now when they land on your website. Give them a reason to return. It also means that your website is no longer a static information piece. It's really at the heart of your marketing. Almost any business today should be looking at where their website is in the process of the decision and how they can focus on it in a way that helps people at a glance say, oh, that's what I'm looking for, that's what I want. It's where you can capture people who are looking for what you offer and lead them through information in a logical way to a call to action to the next step in the process. Offering information that they can use, that they can help use to evaluate what the choices are, is going to help engage them in a way that they're more likely to return and they're more likely to continue to look at you as a valuable resource. And of course, once they get to that website, does it look like everybody else's? Is it cluttered? Is it hard to see where the information is? Can you tell quickly what the navigation is doing, how to move to the next step? It's really important that you stand out from the crowd. There's so much, this is the way we've always done it, or Me Too marketing out there these days. It's tough to kind of break through and stand out. Look at your marketing compared to your competitors. See how you stand out, or if you don't. And then think about how you can rise above that chaos with bold visuals or distinctive messages. Because if they don't notice you, they won't choose you. Once you've identified those critical points of choice, leverage them by standing out, being unique, being noticed, and recognized for what you stand for. Not just what you do and what you offer, but what you stand for and what the benefit is to the audience. Get noticed, grab interest, engage them further, and ask for response with a strong call to action. Think about how and where you can influence your audiences at different levels of decision, because of course there are multiple levels. As you've seen in the continuum with the decision process, the number of sources that people look at, people are looking more and more and more to determine where they want to go next. You need to be seen, you need to be recognized, you need to stand out from the crowd with no more of that, we're like the other guys, how do you differentiate? Follow the attention grab with information, ideas, images that spark more interest to encourage a person to look further. You want them to look at your website or look at your sign or look at your vehicle and say, really, tell me more. You want to build the story or build the idea, the meaning, the why, engage them and encourage them to follow a path towards action. Rather than just throwing information out there, here's what we do, come see us, aren't we great, make sure you're engaging your audiences from what they're looking for. To break it down, we can look at it with these 4 stages, and there's multiple levels within each. But of course, the first thing you want to do is grab attention. No matter where they're seeing what you have to offer, you want to grab their attention in a way that they want to look further. So think of the different points of choice where you can grab attention for your company. I'll show you in a little bit. For some companies who have vehicles, that's a great place to grab attention. Those are free billboards driving around. Or if you're a retail operation, how your operation looks from the outside, how the sign looks, and what happens when people walk in. That's another great way to grab attention and focus their attention on what you have that they may be looking for. You also want to create more interest in what you have to offer. So that's the next level. Once you've got their attention, oh, tell me more. Build a case for what's in it for me from the audience's point of view. Not just here's more stuff, here's a list of our products and services, but what's in it for me. And then next, create that desire. Oh, I want to know more. I want to learn more. I want to get to know who you are or why I should pick you or what your options are. Then give them a clear, strong call to action. What's the next step? Don't make people guess or make them have to search for what they should do next. Put it in front of them. People are confused. They're overwhelmed. Make sure it's very, very clear from each point of choice where they can move to the next one. And of course, keep in mind, how are you different? What ideas, what services, messages, images will help you stand out from other choices your audiences have? and why should they choose you. Use design, use messages to distinguish who you are and what you offer from others. Get to the why, not the what and how, but the why. What's in it for me? What do you do better than anyone else? Why should someone care about what you offer and choose you rather than somebody else who offers something that might be very similar? The mantra, whatever you present out there, look at it from your audience's point of view and question. Do a WIIFM. What's in it for me from the audience's point of view? Why should I care? When you get that message clear and direct, focused on what your audience are looking for, not necessarily just what you offer, it's going to make a huge difference in how people respond. It'll resonate with your audiences, and you'll see bigger response and bigger results. So let's view some examples here. I've got some of our work that I want to show you from the context of attention, interest, desire, and action. And each of these were created at a specific point of choice to generate that attention, that interest, desire, or action. So we look at attention. How do you grab attention? These vans for Canby Telecom were redesigned around their white vans they had before and created a whole lot of attention when the new identity was introduced for the new name Canby Telecom. They still grab attention because they're big, they're bold, they're simple, and on the other side is actually a little bit more information about what the company offers too, with of course a website and a nice big phone number. The direct mail piece was an alert card or a save the date card that we sent for United Way. This is the campaign that started last year, and we created a whole series of action statements around the idea of 5 action points. Learn how you can change 550 or 500 lives when you live united to the power of 5. So this concept carried through all of the other pieces. This was the first introduction. Oversized postcard, stood out in the mail, was not your standard formal invitation, hard to miss. We wanted to create big attention, bold, visual, and simple. A couple of other examples. The sign for Waterdog RV. This is not your standard RV looking place. Although there's plenty of them parked on the parking lot next to the sign, this is a sign that grabs attention. Big, gold, fun cartoon, represents the company. And the other thing about this mascot that we created for them, kids love it. They actually say, oh, let's go see the one with the dog. So they have a recognizable symbol that's not just a name, and yet the name has a story behind it too. And the carry-out bags were created for a conference. They're very large, they're good quality, nice big handles, and boy did they stand out. They couldn't be missed, and everyone wanted one. They represented the company, but they also were highly visual and brought attention back to the organization at their conference. Lots of attention. Now we want to create interest. How do we do that? So we want to create enough information that somebody can look at this and say, oh, there's some information here I want to read further. So on the left is a poster that was designed for transfer students who may want to transfer from a community college to Linfield College. The little factoids on the side in the gold were designed to help those students sort of pre-qualify themselves. Oh, this is how it works. This is how many complete. This is what the size of the student body is. This is how big the class size is. That's what I want. I want a small college with a small class size and a small student body. It helps them say, that looks like something I might want. I'll look further. On the right is the cover of a magazine that was created to replace a standard brochure and a view book. It's done in magazine format. It's very shareable. Every spread actually has a call to action, either a specific QR code or a URL to go to, and it helps to drive readers to the website and the videos. The other great thing about a magazine is it was unexpected in the pile of information that students receive when they're getting ready to go to college. It also was much more shareable than most of the standard brochures or view books. So it created a nice story. The stories were able to engage both students and their parents, lots of big photos to really give a sense of place and get someone to want to look further, with more calls to action included all the way through. So we created plenty of interest through those pieces. How else? Well, this ad for Forest Grove Lumber that used to produce some gorgeous wood beams that were a special process that helped to build these exposed timber frame construction. A great photo that says, wow, isn't that beautiful? and then a little bit of story to say this is what it is. We maintain the integrity and visual beauty of exposed beams, and here's how we do that. So enough to create interest to get somebody to call or to go online and look at a bigger story. On the right, this is a truck that we did a number of years ago for Garten Services. It's a mobile shred truck. So not only did we want to identify that it was Garten, but we also wanted to emphasize the volume that they did every year. This was unexpected for the audiences. So rather than just saying, this is a whole lot of stuff, we actually made a big headline out of it, 2 million pounds shredded each year, enough to stack higher than 5 mount hoods. Well, 2 million sounds like a big number, but when you put it into an idea that is more visual, somebody goes, oh my goodness, that's quite a bit. The great thing about this truck is it was essentially a free billboard, and within the first 3 months on the road, it actually generated 50 new accounts for Garten Services shred services. So we created attention and interest all in one piece for a pretty darn low cost, and it was way better in terms of both effectiveness and much cheaper than running a yellow page ad, which is what they originally wanted to do. On the shelf, we want to create that desire. Oh, that looks good. I got to put that in my cart. Oh, look, they're on sale. Even better. I'll buy more. So those visual cues are really important. We want to stand out on the shelf. The Oregon Fruit Products canned fruit was designed to look unlike the rest of the canned fruit that was on the shelf. We wanted to really sort of romance the berries and the cherries and the gooseberries, all with beautiful illustrations rather than photographs. All the other canned fruit were using photographs. We also created stories on the back of the label, so if somebody picked one up and took a look, there was a whole little story there as well as recipes on the inside of the label. And the other package for McTavish cookies, the previous packages didn't show off the cookies, and the labels were all basically the same and didn't emphasize the flavors. So our point here was to say, wow, it's got to look good. At a glance, you can see it's chocolate chip, both from the photo and what it says. But if you look a little farther, oh my goodness, dark chocolate bits baked into rich buttery shortbread, handmade from scratch. That looks like a great cookie. I'm going to want that. And that has made a huge difference in their sales too. If you have a product that's in a package, that point of choice that's essential to you is definitely the package, because you've got to stand out on the shelf and you've got to tell enough story if somebody picks that up. Website. Wow. There's no doubt about what Hearst's offer on this particular website. When you see their home page, the berries are beautiful. They offer fresh berries, and they sell them all over the country in the grocery stores. So the details that were provided also help to make the sale and draw somebody in and create that desire. I think I want to put these products in. These look amazing. The website was actually used in a business-to-business conversation to help salespeople sell over the phone with these mouth-watering pictures and then simple diagrams that explained how and when to order, what size packs were available, and all of those other details that they needed to know. And then action. Let's look at action. We introduced you to the United Way granting attention. Here's more of the program, which was designed around how can I participate. It's so simple. Let's make it look easy to take action. So on the left is a flyer that was presented to employers. Let's start with 5 reasons to bring United Way to your workplace. And then we listed those out. Here's what's in it for you. Here's why it's a great thing to do. Here's how easy it is to take action. On the right, this was an image that we had planned for their website. Very simple, very quick, easy to see. Give $5, tell 5 friends, give 5 hours, join 5 people, and then add 5 more. It really has been a very powerful way to get very straight to the heart of here's how you can participate, here's how you can give, and here's 5 reasons to give. Very strong, very action-oriented. More action. This is an ad on the left for Gormley, Plumbing and Mechanical here in McMinnville. The 3 headline questions were based on these are the things people call us for the most. So we used that information, and then we created a new tagline for them, Gotta Get Gormley. Very easy to remember, very symmetrical, I guess you could say, and certainly very action-oriented. This is an ad that ran in some newspapers, very action-oriented, and yet it also provides a little bit more information about 24-hour emergency service, what you can call us for. Saturday service 8 to 4 is available too. So, but the whole piece is actually oriented towards action. On the right is a top section of the home page of a website we produce for this CPA firm, Johnson Glaze & Company. Interesting thing about it, we took a look at their old website, and what we found was people really, the majority of people landed on the home page. The next level of information they wanted was information on the partners, and then the next level of information is how do I get a hold of them, email or call. So in the very top section, which shows up as what we call a Stripes website, we make sure that we emphasize here's who we are, here's what we offer, we're CPAs, here's how you can contact us, and here's the 3 partners. The band at the top is current just for the tax season, and the badge at the bottom is also current for their seminar that they're actually holding today. Next level down, who's our audience? If you're a business owner, click here. If you're a nonprofit, click here. If you're a family, click here. And the next level down, action again, meet our partners. Here's who they are, little blurb, and then you can click through to their more in-depth bio or to their LinkedIn profile. So the whole home page is designed to present information that will encourage people to click here and take the next step and understand who they are and what they have to offer. So each of these examples, as you can see, uses bold design. That stands out, grabs attention, and really helps people, the company, be recognized. We also use messages that we call a brand promise rather than a tagline, because we want something that communicates, here's what your customers can count on. Here's a way to take action. Here's what you can expect from us. Here's what's in it for you as the customer. Simple, direct, clear. Let's reinforce that over and over. Because of course it's still, we're coming back to it, it's still about your audiences. No matter where your points of choice are, what you offer is still about them, not about the list of goods and services that you provide. People choose because they want something, and that something is usually emotional, not logical. Keep asking yourself as you list out what you provide, what's in it for me from your audience's point of view. We actually worked with another organization locally, Cascade Employers Association, fabulous company. They do amazing things. They're a membership-based organization that offers HR services. And on their website and in their materials, they were listing, here's all the services you can get from us. We can do consulting, we do training, we can review your handbook, we can provide legal feedback on HR law, etc., etc. But what distinguished them from the other organizations that offered the same kinds of services? They really didn't have, at that point, a point of distinction. When we dug into it and talked to their members and talked to their staff, who all said, by the way, the members said, gee, you're the best kept secret in town. Don't want to do that anymore. Don't be a secret. Let's get the word out. We came up with a series of ideas that really emphasized the value of that they offered to their members, not just here's what we do. So their brand promise became unsurpassed resources for great employers. But it really is not about here's a list of stuff that we have, because what you're doing when you present that is you're making people have to figure it out for themselves. Instead, tell them, here's what you need to know, here's what we provide for you, here's what you'll get. And coming back again to all those pieces of information people are looking for, before they make a decision, think about how you can help someone choose, help them compare, help them understand, help them understand how it works, help them understand how and when to take action. Because so many people are looking for that information, useful information that will build trust and confidence as they move through the decision process will help people want to come back and talk to you and buy from you. So how do you find the points of choice that are right for what you offer? Because it will be different no matter what your business is. You'll have different points of choice. You have different audiences who have different ways of interacting with you. You probably have different ways of doing business. All of those things are going to affect what those points of choice are and what ones you want to focus on that's going to make a difference for you. One of the best ways, listen to your customers. As we've worked through the clients that I just showed you the pieces about, we heard things like, I see your trucks everywhere, or I couldn't find you, or I couldn't find what I needed on your website, or when I toured the campus, I knew this is where I wanted to be. Those are the kinds of feedback that will help guide you towards the points of choice that are what matter to the people that you're trying to reach. Listen for those elements. They'll show you what's important to them. It'll also guide you towards, oh, okay, I hadn't thought about that. Or, oh my goodness, I thought our website was working great. Maybe we need to do something different with the way the information is presented. And yes, these days, your website really is an essential point of choice. It needs to be at the heart of your marketing. Use it to fulfill on outreach efforts, whether you've got business cards, whether you've got direct mail, whether it's on your vans. Make sure that you always guide people back to your website. The advantage is your message can be briefer and more direct on those outreach efforts when you can fulfill on it from your website. But of course, you have to give them enough that they're going to say, oh, I want to know more. Look at the attention and the interest. Use your website to fulfill on those outreach efforts, to educate, to inform, to provide validation of what you offer and how you're unique. Add testimonials, include videos, include demos, depending on what your product or service is. All those can be useful. And of course, on your website, you want to incorporate good search engine optimization to make sure that people can find you when they're looking for what you have to offer. You want to make sure your website pops up as one of those results when they're Googling, I want XYZ. So let's review. Covered a lot of information. It's running into 40 minutes or so. Just want to make sure we review so you have something that works as a summary for you. A point of choice is action. It's where your target audiences can respond to move closer to a final purchase decision. Think decision and action, where people interact with you, with your organization as they're deciding to buy. Are they visiting? Are they strolling through? I'm just looking. Or are they actually on a mission to find the best choice to solve their problem, answer what they're looking for? But you also want to make sure it's easy to respond, that your information is easy to understand from their point of view. Don't use acronyms, your own language. Make sure it's in common language that your audiences will understand. We've worked with some technology companies, and they often fall back on using their technology terms that the average person is going to go, huh? So you don't want to confuse them. You want to be clear, and you want to use visuals wherever you can to communicate. The old mantra, a picture is worth 1,000 words, is really true, particularly when you're looking online. Match your message with what they're looking for and where they're looking. You must stand out, so rise above the chaos and the competition with bold design, clear, simple messages that are direct and to the point. Don't make people wade through a lot of text, particularly on your website, or even in an ad. Make it simple, make it bold. We're all doing the sort of the glance and grab perspective these days. They're not spending time. You've got less than 3 seconds when somebody lands on your website to get your information across in a way that they're going to look further. You don't want to get lost in that clutter of other ads, messages, websites. People have to be able to see at a glance what you stand for and why they should care, or they're going to pass you by. Ensure your audiences can quickly see, again, what's in it for me. Not the list of stuff that you do, but what's in it for me, and where do I take the next step? How do I move forward? How do I connect with the next piece of information? Oh, look, you're offering me something free to download. I'll do that before I make a decision. Lead them to the next step. The call to action must stand out. Don't bury it in text or assume that they know what to do next. It's always better if you can actually let them know step by step, here's what happens next, here's what we can do, here's what you need to do, here's how to respond. Don't leave them thinking, well, so that was information, but now what? Clear up any confusion, make sure you address concerns. And to do this, you can look at the frequently asked questions that you hear from your customers. What are the things that pop up over and over again that people don't understand about who you are or what you have to offer? Make sure you can address those concerns at those points of choice, because those could be stopping them from making that decision and clicking through or picking up the phone. Keep in mind you want to make it easy. You want to keep your information simple, your presentation very direct. You want to delight your audiences, surprise them. Give them something they didn't expect. Look for the wow. The wow is, really, I didn't know you did that. Wow, I had no idea. Make sure you incorporate that wow into whatever you're doing at your points of choice. It will help them choose you. One more wrap-up checklist. Again, who are your audiences? How do they find you? What are they looking for? How do you provide what they're looking for in their terms from their point of view? And where do they choose? Where are those critical decision points? We found with companies that offer services like telephone services, those vans are really critical. Also the same for air conditioning and HVAC company. When they've got those vans, that's a great place to put a message out. Your sign can make a huge difference too. What gets their attention? How do you answer their questions? Have you answered what's in it for me? Oh, here comes a train. Sorry about that. So are you ready to rock your marketing? Find your points of choice. Focus your marketing messages and calls to action there first. Get your bigger response. And lots of information to cover. Stop and breathe. I apologize for the train. I thought we had this timed right, but I guess not. So, any questions? Jamie, what are you hearing from people and what would we like to talk about?
I'm not seeing any questions popping up, but if anyone wants to go ahead and tell us what they think some of their biggest points of choice are for your business or organization, then we can sort of walk through some of that and maybe highlight some others that you may have missed.
I do see one question that says, can we get a copy of the presentation by email? You bet. We're going to be sending a link off to you once we complete this. If the session is being recorded, so since you've been an attendee, you're going to get the recording also. And anyone who's registered is also going to get the recording. Any other questions? Any other thoughts? Nope? Okay, I have a next step for you. Here's some options. Oh, I emailed Jennifer. Okay, thanks, Christy. Question there. Visit our website. You can download our free guidelines and worksheets to help you market smarter. We offer a point of choice worksheet and some more information about how to identify your audiences. And that you can find that on our website at creativeco.com resources. Or if you would like some feedback and some guidance, I can work with your team to find your critical points of choice. I'm offering 2 hours of consultation for $200. We can do that over the phone, or we can do that in person if you're somewhere moderately close by in Oregon. I know we have some people who are going to be coming in from out of the area too. You can also talk to me about marketing coaching or refocusing your marketing strategy. Would love to help. So Amy posted a question. How important is chat and purchase to millennials? Not sure about chat and purchase. I would say the general rule of thumb is the easier it is to respond, the more likely you are to get response. So if someone is on a website and there's a chat option and they have an immediate question, they're more likely to click that than they are to wait later. Or, you know, some people prefer just to kind of dig around themselves and look for the support and get some feedback like that. Millennials want instant feedback. That's the big thing that they're looking for. So make sure you can provide that feedback at that point in a way that is very convenient for them, thinking in terms, of course, that they are all on mobile, or pretty well all on mobile. Perfect, thanks, says Amy. Good. All right. And of course, you're going to see a follow-up survey. Would love to get your feedback. This is our first webinar. Hopefully I didn't go too quickly, but you got good information. And you can follow us on our website or on our blog at optimizemybrand.com. You can find me and Creative Company on Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, and Google+. Questions or comments, email me, and I'd love to hear from you. Let me know what you think. And that concludes the webinar. My goodness, we did a pretty good timing on that.
It looks like there's actually a couple more questions if you have some time to answer those.
I do, yeah.
So one of them is, how important do you think is print advertising?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think it's still important. And again, it depends on your audience. The interesting thing about millennials is they tend to be very technology focused. But if you put something in their hands that's in print, it's almost more unusual and stands out more. So whether that's an ad in a magazine or in one of their own publications, that can be very valuable. Print advertising can also be very targeted if you're in a business-to-business context and you are in a trade journal. For example, that Forest Grove lumber ad was in a trade journal, particularly for lumber contractors and people who actually were in the market for building materials. Print advertising can still be very valuable because it's another way to grab attention and then to drive someone to your website. Hopefully that answers that.
Okay. It looks like we've got one from Rob here. It says, do you recommend group email blasts as a way of connecting with clients, or is it considered spam?
Well, Rob, that's a great question, and you've probably been receiving our group email blasts, and you use that to follow up and come to our webinars. So thank you for doing that. I think they're still very valuable, and a number of studies have shown that email is still the strongest way to get a response out there, and has more volume than actually Facebook and Twitter combined. So email done well, when you provide value and something of interest, is a great way to do it. Some people look at it as spam, but you can also, you want to build it from people who already know you, so they're less likely to be spam, and then you can, of course, encourage more people to subscribe to. Oh, and Jimmy, thank you. What makes your email blast so effective and welcoming is the value added every time. And that's the point, is you want to make sure you're not just promoting yourself, but you're thinking in terms of what your audiences might be looking for, or something you can provide a value that demonstrates your position in the market, or your the focus of what you can provide to a potential customer. And Jimmy says, love the idea of analyzing the FAQ. Is there software that analyzes this? I'm not aware of one, but really, I don't know if you need to use software. It's more like, what are people asking the most? And then look at, from your point of view, how do you take that information and say, this is a concern, or this is a question our audiences have over and over again. How do we address it? Where can we address it? Should we put a special page on the website? Maybe we want to do a video that demonstrates something. Maybe we want to show a diagram that shows the answer step by step. Here's how we got here, or here's how it works, what it might be. Use that as a starting place for people don't understand something about who we are, what we do, and what we provide. So let's make sure we address that in the context of, I don't understand. Does that make sense, Jimmy? Hopefully that does. Any other questions? Thank you so much for attending. Appreciate the feedback.